Everyone, my name is Janine Mahmoud and I will be discussing to you about self-awareness. So, what is self-awareness? It means recognizing your emotions, moods, and drives, truly understanding them, knowing how they affect us and others. When Michael's friend Julie said to him, I think you're a very angry person, his first reaction was to dismiss the idea. He never shouted at anyone, never raised his voice. How could he be angry? But as he thought about that remark over the days that followed, Michael realized that he was angry. Whenever things didn't go the way he thought they should, and that he expressed his anger by becoming cold and distant toward people. People who didn't know Michael were bewildered by his behavior. Friends and coworkers had learned to avoid him when he was that way. Before we can control our emotions and use them in an effective manner, we need to understand them. Understanding our feelings give us a clearer sense of who we are, what tends to engage us, for example, and why. It readies us to handle emotions when they arise, keep from being sidetracked, plan for them, and use them to our advantage. Seeing their effect on others can move us, when appropriate, to change our behavior so that the effect is a positive one. Perceptions and factors that influence them. An important step in becoming more self-aware is understanding how your perception affect you. Perception is the process by which you acquire mental images of your environment. Through perception, you organize, interpret, and give meaning to sensations or messages that you receive with your senses of sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing. So there are many factors influence perception. Culture, heredity, needs, peer pressure, interest, values, and expectation are a few examples. These factors contribute in varying degrees to the way you think and feel about people, situations, and events. Stress, for instance, can distort your perception so that you are unable to evaluate situation objectively. People develop certain attitude and tend to make decisions based on those attitudes. Some of the things that influence perception and contribute to attitudes, such as culture, heredity, and interest, are so much a part of us that they are difficult to recognize. Others, such as peer pressure, needs, or conditions, are easier to identify. Conditions and characteristics that influence perception. First is time and place. Employees sometimes erroneously assume that an order from a supervisor is not as important when it takes place in the hall and when it occurs in the boss office. Emotional state. We are more receptive to ideas when we are relaxed than when we are feeling nervous or tired. Age, a building or room that you thought was large when you were a child may seem small once you are an adult. Frequency, if your supervisor starts including you in a weekly planning sessions, you may feel uneasy at first but become comfortable after a while. Among the many factors that can influence perceptions are the halo effect and the reverse halo effect. With the halo effect, you assume that if a person has one trait you view positively, all of that person's traits must be positive. For instance, imagine that you are the owner of an office supply store. Tom has been a bookkeeper for you for several years, doing an excellent job in the back office. So you promote him to manager. You soon realize to your dismay, however, that he is not an effective manager because he lacks the necessary people skills to meet the public and supervise other employees. You were probably influenced by the halo effect. Under the influence of the reverse halo effect, you allow one negative characteristic of a person to color your whole impression negatively. For example, again, imagine that you are the owner of an office supply store. Ruth Ann, a new hire, is having trouble learning one of the printing machines, and you've begun to think you'll have to replace her. However, you soon discover that she is excellent with customers in the front office, knows your accounting software better than any of your other workers, and is faster in designing business cards and other documents on the computer. Being aware of your own perceptions and what influences them is extremely important. With this awareness, you can withhold judgment until you realize the situation. You can ask yourself why you're feeling the way you are, whether your feelings are justified, and whether you should act on those feelings. Once you understand how your feelings affect you, take some time to consider their effect on those around you. Remember that a competency is a practical, useful way in which we handle emotions on the job or in life. Self confidence is a competency for self awareness that is essential for success. To envision your goals, to strive, and to achieve, you need to have confidence in yourself and your abilities. Self confidence reflects how sure you are about your self worth and capabilities. It's an attitude that allows you to have positive yet realistic views of yourself and situations. It can fluctuate depending on past performance and on your familiarity with the situation or task. If you have self-confidence, you tend to believe in your own skills and abilities and to believe that within reason you'll be able to accomplish the goals you set. Because self-confident individuals trust in themselves, they tend to worry less about conforming to others' expectations and are more willing to take risks. Further, their self-confidence usually encourages others to have confidence in them. People with low self confidence often expect themselves to measure up to unrealistic expectations, their own, societies, their families, and those of their peers, thus setting themselves up for failure. These expectations may be real or imagined. People with low self confidence often rely on the approval of others to feel good about themselves. They avoid taking risks because they're afraid of failing. Generally, such people don't view themselves as successful. Related to self confidence is self esteem. Self esteem refers to how you feel about yourself. If you see yourself as being good at something, this increases your self esteem. People with healthy self esteem feel emotions but don't let emotions overwhelm them. Self esteem is formed through our early life experiences by parents, other authority figures, and peers. It is related to our feelings of acceptability and adequacy. So, here are the steps, some steps to help you want to improve your self esteem. First is try to stop thinking negative thoughts about yourself. When you catch yourself being too critical, counter it by saying something positive about yourself. Next, aim for accomplishment rather than perfection. Think about what you are good at and what you enjoy and go for it. Next, view mistakes as learning opportunities. Remind yourself that a person's talents are constantly developing and everyone excels at different things. It's what makes people interesting. Next, try new things. Experiment with different activities that will help you get in touch with your talent. Next, recognize what you can change and what you can. If you realize that you're unhappy with something about yourself that you can change, then start today. If it's something you can change, like your height, then start to work toward loving yourself the way you are. Next is set goals. Think about what you'd like to accomplish, then make a plan for how to do it. Stick with your plan and keep track of your progress. Take pride in your opinions and ideas. Don't be afraid to voice them. Next, make a contribution. Volunteer your time in some way, feeling like you're making a difference, that your health is valued can do wonders to improve self esteem. Next is exercise. You'll relieve stress and be healthier and happier. Last is have fun. Relax and have a good time and avoid putting your life on hold. Next is we have self-disclosure and feedback. The term used for healthy sharing of your perceptions, thoughts, feelings, opinions, and desires is self-disclosure, which means sharing them honestly, carefully, and appropriately. Needless to say, self-disclosure does not mean making rude or inappropriate comments and excusing that behavior by telling yourself that you're just being honest about your feelings. Self-disclosure has many advantages. It can increase the accuracy of your communication. It may reduce stress, but you no longer have to hide your feelings. It can also increase your self-awareness by helping you be open to both negative and positive feedback. Feedback is information given to a person that evaluates his or her actions or states what the receiver understands. Finally, self-disclosure helps build good relationships with co-workers. When you disclose your true thoughts and feelings, you're demonstrating trust. Perceiving they are trusted helps people feel valued and encourage them to reciprocate. And that would be all for my topic self-awareness. Thank you.